Hey everybody, it's the Drunk Werewolf, and we're going to be reacting to another TradCon. Alex Clark and why Gen Z and millennials are no longer dating. So let's get into it.
If you're a single girl out here in these streets and you're thinking, am I crazy? Or are these guys like not even wanting to date and hook up, let alone get married? Am I the problem?
Yeah, you're
Are we
kinda
why
acting
these men
insane.
don't want to get married?
You're probably crazy.
I have good news and bad news. The good news is you're not crazy. The bad news is it's worse than you thought. The very minuscule amount of kingpin level good men, the ones that are
Kingpin level good men. Even she trying to act like one of the good women can't help herself. She has to sneak it in. Oh, this top guy that I want. You're like Brett Cooper, like the definition of mid. Why are you talking about kingpin level? And this is what feminism and the culture has done to women, no matter how mid or slightly above average they look. They think they deserve kingpin level good men, like the top 5%.
actually husband material are almost certainly already married, about to be, or here's your very grim reality check, rotting away to near extinction.
There goes our last mail.
Oh my god, I hate Alex Clark. She's so dramatic.
Am I?
Is it me? Am I the drama? I don't think I'm the drama. Maybe I am.
Turns out, the large majority of men 18 to 30 years old are single by choice. You're not crazy after all.
Yeah, why would they want to subject themselves to the torture that is modern dating? Just getting used by women after women for dates and stuff like that. And if they know they're not like the top 5%, why would they subject themselves to all that work for modern women who are just ran through? Makes no sense. It'd be like if women couldn't get men and they tried to do this work and improve themselves just to get a broke guy. It doesn't make sense. Women want well-off guys who can take care of them.
Don't believe me? A new Pew Research study found that 63% of men don't want to pursue any sort of relationship with women. That means serious or casual. They literally feel no motivation to leave their house, period. You know things are bad when guys think a booty call is too much work. The evidence points to some very specific problems. I've seen multiple conservative commentators speculate about what they think is the root of this shift, and no surprise, they're wrong. Let me tell you something.
How much you want to bet she does not know what it is that is wrong with the women?
About 99% of female commentators on the right who talk about dating, culture, and relationships. Hardly any of them have had significant real-world experience with dating, culture, and relationships. They think they're too highbrow for dating apps. They're disgusting, and I hate you. They marry the first or second guy they've made eye contact with, and their understanding on what it's actually like out here is, hate to say it, no I don't, derived from trad wife Twitter accounts secretly run by gay men trying to catfish straight ones. I know why men have lost all incentive to pursue any type of companionship with anyone with a heartbeat, and I think
I'm sure you do. I'm sure you're on Tinder a lot and you frequently sample the top 5% of men. Just like every other woman trying to be a traditional political figure. Act like a tradcon.
we should all be very perturbed about what this means for future generations. And no, the answer is a lot more layered than just porn is bad. Today, women are smarter, we're graduating college at higher rates than guys, and
No. It's not that women that are dating are smarter. In fact, a lot of them are actually dumber. They don't. Especially than the women that were their ancestors or their mom or their grandma. They were smart enough to try to get somebody young and have kids with because they knew they would be happiest that way. And men aren't going to college because it's completely colleges are completely feminist and hate men, and it's like a landmine. On top of the fact that there's affirmative action and everything to stop men from being able to go to college. Like, what are we doing here? Come on.
And I know women don't like to admit it, but we are, by and large, making more money.
Okay, it's not enough poor!
We spent half a century telling men that the future was female and that women allegedly didn't need to rely on men for anything.
We couldn't have credit cards, couldn't have...
Yeah, so enjoy your equality. What are you guys complaining about? You guys said you wanted equality. Be equal.
Own property, couldn't vote, had no voice. Well, of course we partner up with a man because we needed one so that we didn't starve to death. We don't need men. So if it comes to being in a relationship, it's a matter of bringing something to the table. And if what you're bringing to the table is a toddler-like mentality where you are expecting a mommy and expecting some kind of subordinate, concubine kind of setup, no woman wants that.
Naturally, men started to harbor this sense of hopelessness where it felt like, I'm never going to be able to meet women's increasingly high standards and expectations anyway. So the first shoe to drop was men thinking it's acceptable to get complacent. If women are doing all this work, why should I? Now, for a little while, that was fun for the men because we're climbing the ladder.
No, it's not that we got complacent. We just realized that no matter what you do, and however high you are and how much you achieve, in the West, you're not going to get a quality woman. Unless you probably meet her in high school. The odds of you finding a good moral virgin who's going to stay with you your whole life and have a bunch of kids with you and be fine with doing the traditional housewife role in America is slim to none. And it could happen, but the odds are not in your favor, like, at all.
Ourselves, we're screaming, we can do bad all by myself.
You have a problem with that?
No, I just my grandmother's 90th birthday, so I was gonna go home and it's fine. I can't.
So the men are like, okay, bet. They begin to lose that motivation to achieve and be a provider for a purpose bigger than themselves.
Why are you single? I have kind of given up on trying to put in the effort.
A man's instinct to be a hero and to achieve is tied directly to how men show their love. Since the beginning of time,
It's not that men... That's not how they show their love, by willing to... They show their love by providing and protecting. That's how they show their love. To a quality woman that makes their life better and is a good woman. And they're not just gonna provide and protect some 304. That's not what men do.
men have hunted and women were the gatherers and helpers. We switched this up as women and insisted that we can hunt instead, leaving men feeling confused and purposeless. In an act that drives men further into disorientation, women have chosen to blur the line between masculine and feminine energies, recognizing the different roles men and women were biologically hardwired to play.
It's not mixing the roles so everybody is confused. And it's not mixing masculine and feminine. Women are just more masculine. They're like men with tits now. So it's unattractive to men. It's like when men get more emotional, women become more unattracted to him because that's not being a man. There are certain roles that you do, and when you are assertive and try to be assertive and dominant and work a bunch to make a bunch of money, it's like, well, what do I need you for? I can do that myself. If you're not going to be the nurturing, good mother, why would I pay for you? Why would I provide you a household and income and stuff and take care of you if you are just wanting to work? It's kind of useless.
Does not mean that women must surrender our equality. It just means that men are motivated by the opportunity to show themselves as competitive, daring, adventurous, courageous in achieving. But we have made them feel like these traits are no longer valued because women have chosen to demonstrate those traits ourselves. Instead, women should be secure enough to both praise men for these traits while knowing how to soften into our true feminine essence, which creates...
You can't go from a career woman to just being a feminine woman. Once you become masculine, you can't just be like, oh, I go to work and then I'm going to become feminine. And you can't really go back to being that naturally feminine woman because you'll think it's like asking to be less of yourself. Almost. So, no, it's not true.
Balance and peace needed for a healthy relationship. Women should embrace our traditionally feminine traits that can perfectly complement those of men. Nurturance, sensitivity, sweetness, supportiveness, gentleness, warmth, expressiveness, empathy, affection, and tenderness. I'd like to think that I'm a fair and nuanced person. I believe
All those things are the opposite of most women in society nowadays. That just telling you. The opposite of women are not like that. 50 and under, unless you're like someone's kid, they're usually not tender.
Believe that I am capable of seeing both sides in pretty much anything. And another cultural thorn that women need to take some responsibility for is that we've decided as a gender that personal development is apparently a non-issue. Most of us have a God complex that is being fueled by toxic therapy culture, which is ironically making us worse, not better. Young women have been brainwashed into thinking that we're perfect exactly the way we are, no matter how fat, lazy, mentally ill that could be.
You'll feel it soon.
I won't. I told you, okay? Endorphins don't work on me, and anything ever promised you a runner's high is full of.
It has propelled the sin of self-obsession and created a barrier preventing us from considering any other possibility other than they want to hurt me, they're out to get me. Anyone that
Yeah, women are more narcissistic, and the culture feeds into it now, so they become thinking they're almost God, and because everybody is telling them it's not their fault, then they don't need to take personal responsibility. And women don't like to take personal responsibility. That's just the truth. Men are more about being accountable because unlike women, we don't have someone coming to save us. That's not how that works. We don't have people that come to save us. Women, you can always spread your legs and get a man, if worse comes to worse. Men have to actually provide something. They can't just be like, oh, I'm pretty, let me just spread these legs for... If you take care of me, I'll spread my legs for you, even if 100 guys have been through there. Men don't have that option. They have to bring value because women don't care about men unless they're bringing value.
that attempts to hold us to a higher standard is toxic and emotionally abusive.
You're not my supervisor!
The glorification of hyper-selfishness propagandized us into the belief that every last one of us is a 9 or 10.
Ask the ladies to rate themselves.
Not only is every one of them a 9 or 10, but every woman just about believes that they should get a 10. They should get a top 5% guy.
On a scale of 1 to 10.
10. I'd say I'm a 10. 10. 10. 10.
Don't you guys think it's a bit delusional to rate yourself as a 10?
Wonder if they have
y'all are perfect.
modeling contracts.
Yeah. Bro, come on.
Every girl is a 10. I don't
Every woman's a 10? Is every guy a 10?
No. Absolutely not.
Hold on.
The lie is so pervasive that we not only lie to ourselves, we lie to each other.
You are physically flawless.
Because of all this lying, we only entertain interest from men who are 9s or 10s. But realistically, we're likely only 6s and 7s ourselves. And ladies, you know I'm...
No, realistically, you're probably 5s. Realistically, most women are 4 or 5s.
Right.
I'm gonna be honest.
Even you right there, 6 and 7. Yeah, that's above average. No. Most women are average or below average. 4 or 5.
I'm not going to rate you guys, but none of you are 10.
Women are operating in such a high level of delusion that we'll refuse to date our own level or lower while simultaneously strong-arming men into dating down something that we're not even willing to do ourselves.
If you want a boyfriend, you have to do...
Yeah, that's why it was best when women were not working. There was less people in the workforce, so you were able to get more money. And the money you got meant more to the family, and one income could provide for a whole family. Even if there was 10 kids, and you could just work 40 hours a week and it'd be fine. But the problem is, now that women work and women want someone better than them, so if they are getting someone who makes $50K a year, they have to make less than $50K. And if you want to get married, not that any men should ever get married in the West, they make husbands of wives that are married make 58% more than their husbands. Than their wives. Husbands make 58% more than their wives. So you have to make more. They don't date down.
drop your standard. You have to settle to be in a relationship. You have to settle for something less.
I don't think it's settling, though, because what's going on is you have average women that don't want to date average men.
When women say settling, they mean what I thought I deserved. And then you have to get a realistic approach. When that realistic approach happens, they call it settling. And then they don't want to settle.
We project and accuse men of being superficial, but modern women are the most superficial beings to ever exist.
Men are so superficial.
Would you date a guy that's shorter than you?
Absolutely not.
What has happened is women have cut out 98% of the potential dating pool and convinced themselves that they're cool sharing the top 2% of men because we'd rather perpetually be in the talking stage with a 10 than having a meaningful, fulfilling, and monogamous relationship with a 7.
If you can't accurately assess, here's how attractive I actually am, you're going to keep chasing after men that they're going to have an accurate assessment of what you look like, and they're going to say, I'll hook up with this girl. I'm never going to commit to her. I'll keep her along and keep her. I'll never give her commitment.
According to Tinder data, while men swipe right on 40% of women on average, this number is only 7% for women. No wonder men feel like dating is completely pointless. For the guys left barely hanging on, it feels nothing short of fatalistic. If a guy tries to embrace his masculinity and show chivalry, it's deemed toxic at best, sexual harassment at worst.
Well, not only that, but as a man, you should not be chivalrous to women unless she's a virgin. And she has shown that she can be a traditional woman, which is something that women in the West, let's be honest, don't have the ability to do. You shouldn't be chivalrous towards them. If you're not a virgin, you don't get the chivalry treatment. You have to go 50-50. Because let's be honest, most women, if you're not an alpha guy, a 5% guy, which is most people, the women come around 29 or 30 with a couple of kids. And they say, take me as I am. Well, as they are, is they've slept with 100 guys. They have a boy named Alex and a girl named Alice. And they're looking for someone to settle down with. So, men don't want sloppy seconds, and if they can't get a woman they can start a family with, who hasn't been with somebody else beforehand, or at least not had kids beforehand, and isn't extremely promiscuous, then men just would rather go overseas or not play.
Excuse me, ma'am. I've been in a terrible car accident. My legs are pinned under the car, and I can't reach to get my phone. Can you please get some help?
Are you serious? I have a boyfriend.
And it gets bleaker because men today are financially incentivized to not pursue marriage.
Are you single? Actually, yes. Why are you single? Because it's expensive. But he's right.
Women are 70% more likely to initiate divorce, according to the American Sociological Association. Men know if they choose the wrong woman, it will end in divorce, and the research shows that she will be the one to benefit, not him. While both spouses lose, men typically suffer a larger hit because of child support and alimony. Men are looking at this and weighing the risk.
Not only child support and alimony, and they don't get any benefit from marriage. Women are having kids out of wedlock. There's nothing that they can do. And they're giving away sex like it's candy. So, and if you get married, women leave, because all women leave. It's just about when they will leave. Will it be 20 years? Will it be 15? Will it be 10? Will it be 5? Will it be a couple years? Will it be a year after they get married? Eventually they leave, and even 30 to 40 years. You hear stories of couples who have been married for 40 to 50 years getting divorced because they find out that the woman cheated on them 40 years ago, or is cheating on them now, or wants to hook up with her ex-boyfriend from 40 years ago that she's been talking to on Facebook. This stuff is not realistic. And you get married, let's say you go and it's like 10 years. A lot of states, it's 10 years for alimony. And you have a couple kids. They can take the house, the car, And they can take alimony and child support, and they take the kids, and then 50% of the money, which would be the marital assets besides all that stuff. And if they take your only car that you have and you don't have money because she just took half of your money on top of everything else, not even including the lawyer fees or anything like that, then you can't drive a car. You have to find a new place to live because you're kicked out of your home. And then if you don't get the child support fast enough and the alimony, then you'll go to jail. And the money piles up, and then when you get out, they give you a bit to get it, and then the cycle continues from jail to the money piling up until the guy kills himself. And Minecrafts himself in a video game, of course. So it's not worth it.
And the unfortunate reality for women is that instead of...
Oh, and even if you have a kid in marriage, it's not guaranteed that the kid's yours. That's why every man who has a kid should get a paternity test every time he has a kid. Unless she's a virgin. That's why there should be mandatory DNA tests.
Instead of seeing these statistics and thinking, okay, true love in a family is a pro that outweighs the con, they opt out of the equation entirely. Men are more willing to put up with loneliness because in their mind, they'll still get to keep their money and dignity. Plus, thanks to the pandemic, they have learned that they can also get all of their sexual and self-esteem needs met without leaving their couch. Confidence is boosted through comments, likes, and retweets on social media. Sexual needs are met through pornography. Why would men feel motivated to go to bars, for example, to spend their money on drinks for women who may or may not even be interested?
There's a lot of bars in New York City.
You go up to someone in a bar, they're like, why are you talking to me?
You can cut to the chase with pornography, and many men took advantage of the opportunity in lockdown. Fast forward 2 years later, the habit has been formed, and the men are drastically different. The false identity of women and the increasing apathy of men, to say the least, is literally adding up to human extinction at this point.
Okay, it's not because of porn. That is a symptom. Men use porn and like AI girlfriends and stuff like that to be able to cope with not getting a girlfriend, not being able to, or not finding quality woman that they want to spend time with. No man on earth says no to a woman unless he finds her repulsive instead of having porn or something like that. No one wants to do that. It's because those guys who are going and doing porn, it's because they don't want to take the risk when it comes to women, or they can't get women.
Gen Z and young millennials are just not getting married. We are living through a serious crisis. The eligible bachelors are buying pretend land in the metaverse and subscribing to the OnlyFans of the girl next door. They aren't building a house or a life beyond the digital landscape because we've done a horrible job as women making commitment and marriage look like a worthwhile risk.
No, you've made it what it is, and it is basically a death sentence to any man who wants to be prosperous. If you're a man and you want to be prosperous, you go over to like the Philippines or other countries that have traditional women in like Eastern Europe and other traditional countries. Because it's not going to be here in the West where you're going to be able to have, you know, a loving family. Because, hate to say it, women are narcissistic and they are greedy and they want to get taken care of. And the government has made it so they can get taken care of, get money from the government, and also get money from their husband. And go and do their own thing and sleep with whoever they want if they want to do that. They don't have to sacrifice anything anymore.
Unfortunately, I don't have a feel-good solution for you. I personally think Gen Z and younger millennial men may be a lost cause. But something we can do is instill better self-worth in the men of Gen Alpha. That's the generation that...
It's not a self-worth problem. In fact, you could argue that the guys in older generations have a lack of self-worth because they'd rather throw themselves through the divorce grinder. It's just going to get worse and worse. The only way you can stop this is if you give men a reason to want to be with you. And that means not being promiscuous, not sleeping around, being modest, demure, returning to those traditional roles. And I hate to say it, but the women nowadays, they can't do that. They can teach their daughters that, but they've slept around and were too promiscuous. Most women are too promiscuous for a good man by the time they're 21. So, no, that's false. That it's, just man bad. It's the problem with the men, so they just need to be better. No, women need to be better. They need to bring something to the table. Most women nowadays don't know how to cook. They don't clean. They're definitely not satisfying their man in the bedroom through years of marriage. Usually it's after a couple of years. Even in a happy marriage, a couple times a week, 2 or 3 times a week. Or it's just a dead bedroom, and the man's doing everything for the woman, but the woman is not doing anything for the man. Or not a lot anyways. And we're only having 1.5 kids, so it's not even the fact that a bunch of guys are getting kids, even if they aren't that happy sexually. So, women aren't feminine, and they're not having kids, which is what men get in marriages for. And they're not getting laid as much. In fact, you probably get laid more outside of a marriage than inside. So what's the point if it's not staying together for the family, you're not having a bunch of kids, you're not getting laid, and you're not getting a demure traditional woman? It's like there's no point.
That comes after Gen Z, because if not, this will be the end. We are already at 63% of men under 30 who have just left the dating market. If we don't change course now, that statistic will reach 100% in no time. If you think I'm off base at all, I am open to criticism. Send this video to the young men in your life and ask them if anything I said is untrue. Ladies, let's commit to letting men be men.
The only thing true is, there's a lot true in this video, but she gets it wrong by saying that men need to improve. Men are doing their job. If you look at it, that's why women are leaving relationships, because they do their job, and they do their job so well that they are providing for the woman, and the woman wants to take those resources. And because she has men that are giving her money to not do anything, it's literally this. You get in a business partner relationship, and one side is incentivized to leave. So she breaks the contract, and then he has to pay her basically to leave. So she's right about a lot of things, but the diagnosis is the problem. Women need to improve and actually bring their side of the coin. And the good men are just leaving to other countries. They'll go find the actual good traditional women. And men don't care about this West. Me included. Why would I fight for this country or the West or these women? They don't care about me. They've never shown they care about me. Besides family. So why would I care about them? You got to give men incentive to want to protect and provide. And you do none of that now. So this is the Drunk Werewolf. Hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you guys in the next one.